Hey, and welcome back to the She is Courageous podcast. I am really glad you're here today because I'm going to get into a topic that I know every single one of us has faced. I know, actually, in truth, many of us are probably facing it right now, and it just seems to be becoming a bigger and bigger challenge. Comparison. Comparisonitis. I'm not even sure if that's a word, okay, but I know I've used that word a lot with the members of the collective and my clients. We all know what I mean, right? We're scrolling through the socials and suddenly there it is, you're hit with someone's highlight reel. They're celebrating, I don't know, some huge milestone. They're talking about their 6-figure month, or they're sharing their wonderful holiday they're on, their perfectly curated life. And before you know it, you are sitting there wondering, why aren't I there yet? Why aren't I making that kind of money? Am I not doing it right? Should I be doing more? If you've ever felt that way, let me be really clear, you're not alone. I've been there multiple times, okay? So this is me keeping it real, as always, and saying I absolutely fall into the comparison trap. And this is a subject that comes up time and time again with my clients, with members of the She is Courageous collective, just all the time. And I think there's a truth that you'll never fully get away from it. So if you don't like that, you might want to press stop now, because I'm not here to say you'll never feel comparison again. But I am here to say you can learn how to handle it. And that's what I want to help you with. Because the thing about comparison, and I know that it can sometimes bring up feelings of like jealousy. It can definitely stir up insecurities, but it's much deeper than that. It's not just about the jealousy, the envy, the insecurity, and those negative feelings. Actually, it really chips away at your confidence. It chips away at your focus. And you know what? It can even chip away at your identity. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. But let's be really clear. I've been doing this now, not this as in the podcast. I've been in the coaching world, properly in the coaching world, outside of my corporate coaching stuff that I used to do, for 5 years. And this is the number one way that I see people get stuck. And I say this all the time. All of the work I do when it comes to mindset is intrinsically linked. But comparison is probably one of the number one feeders for the mindset blocks we have. And I get it. I work in a very noisy industry. I said to someone recently, below a feather and you will hit another coach. It feels like every single week I see someone in my world shouting about their latest big win or their proven formula for success, telling me, although they're not directly telling me, but they're speaking to me as someone who might be an ideal client for them, what I should do to have the life that they've got. And there have been plenty of moments in the last 5 years when I have watched people run past me in terms of success, financially, achievements, and I've questioned myself. Of course I have. I've questioned myself on so many occasions, in so many ways. I've questioned the way that I work, the work that I'm doing, the path that I'm choosing, the prices I charge or don't charge. It is very easy to wonder, am I doing this all wrong? I've got big goals. Why aren't I there when apparently they are and they've not been doing it as long as I have? You know, just the word I used apparently there. I might come back to that. So here's what I've learned through my own experiences and through my clients' experiences. They say comparison is the thief of joy. Let me tell you now, it does not just steal your joy. It eats away at who you are. And I do not make that statement lightly. When you start comparing yourself to others, what actually happens is you start to believe that you need to be more like them, and therefore less like you. And that, quite frankly, as I say those words, is heartbreaking, but it's where the real damage comes from. Because the truth is, your superpower, you, as you are listening to me right now, whoever you are, this is to you. Your superpower lies in being you. No one else can do what you do the way you do it. And I know they're just words. I know that that's easy to say, but I also know it's true. Now, I said earlier on, I feel like there's not really an escape from comparison. There's just knowing how to handle it. And the reason that I think comparison is actually unavoidable in today's world is, of course, social media. It's the biggest culprit. Everywhere we look, we're being fed these perfectly curated highlight reels. But we have to remember those highlight reels are not the full picture. They're the shiny bits people want you to see. God, I'm as guilty of that as anybody. But it's more than just social media. We're also surrounded by this constant narrative that we should, need to be doing more. We should, need to be achieving more. That we should try every possible method to get ahead. That everybody's got a better answer than we've got, and they're going to give it to you for the right price. And I'm being really cynical, but it's absolutely bloody exhausting, and it makes you question yourself. And then it gets really dangerous because comparison doesn't just feed self-doubt, it feeds fear. It has you second-guessing your decisions. It gets you procrastinating on taking action or making the decision. It has people obsessing over perfection. Before we know it, you're stuck. People just get totally stuck in a loop of trying to measure up to someone else's version of success. And they lose sight of their own path. So how the hell do we break free of that? Now, what is it I say? It's simple, but it's not easy. It's not easy. It really isn't. And I'm not about to say to you, come off the socials, do this, do that. But here's the number one thing I want you to remember. The only person you should compare yourself to is you. That's it. I'm going to say it again. The only person you should compare yourself to is you. That's the only comparison that matters. I want you to think about the progress you are making. Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you moving forwards towards your goals, even if it's in small ways? If the answer to that is yes, you are winning. Full stop, mic drop, go. If the answer to that is no, different conversation. But if you are stuck in comparison, I want you to stop looking at what other people are doing, and I want you to think about where you were a week ago. I want you to think about what's happened in the last week, what you have done in the last week. I want you to think about a month ago, what you've done in the last month, what you can do that you couldn't do a month ago, what you have done that you didn't think you would do a month ago. I want you to go back a year. I want you to think about the things you've learned in the last year that you didn't know a year ago. I want you to think about the skills that you've enhanced, improved in the last year. Hey, as we sit here in January of 2025, I want you to think about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we had no idea we were about to enter into a global pandemic. A period of time that changed our worlds and changed most of our lives. Where were you then? What were you doing? What were you dreaming of? And where are you now? What can you do that you couldn't do 5 years ago? What have you done that you couldn't have dreamed of 5 years ago? What have you done that you did dream of 5 years ago? What have you learned? Where have you been? That's the only comparison that matters. Now, when you see someone else succeeding, instead of it being comparison, instead of letting it make you feel like you are not doing enough, like you're falling behind, I want you to try and reframe that. I want you to see their successes as proof of what's possible. What if you could let others' highlight reels inspire you instead of discourage you? None of what they are achieving takes away from your potential. I could start to take this down the route of scarcity versus an abundance mindset, but let me just say now, there is enough room in this world for every single one of us to succeed, whatever that means for us. I know that reframing comparison isn't easy. I know that so often what's really going on is we're looking and we're saying, that's what I want. Well, there's a reframe for you. If that's what you want, reframe it into how do I get there, rather than why aren't I there, I'm not good enough. I want to share a few really practical strategies that can help you take back some control when you feel yourself slipping into the comparison spiral. Because let me tell you now, the comparison spiral is taking you in the wrong direction. So here's how you pull back and go in the right direction. First of all, track your wins, track your achievements. This is so simple, but too many people don't do it. And it is so powerful. Whether you journal, whether you just have a notebook, whether you, as I know some of my members of the She is Courageous Collective, we've got win walls out there. Record the things that you are proud of, big or small. And big or small is completely subjective to you. So if you sent a scary email this week that you've been avoiding, that's a win. If you hit a milestone in your business, bloody well done, that's a win. If you just got through a tough day, that's a win. If you kept going, win. Whatever it is, write it down. Really acknowledge, reflect, and process your wins, your achievements. Now you can take that one step further. And I guess, what would I call this? It's almost like a proof of progress list. So, this is the bigger achievements, if you like. This is where you write down the evidence of your past successes and you keep adding to it through tracking your wins. So a really great exercise to do is, most of you are business owners, is go and get all of the testimonials you've ever had from clients. The kind words that have been sent to you or said to you. If you were in like corporate world, I've still got every leaving card from every business I left and when I moved on to the next one. Because you know what? Sometimes I read those cards and the things that people said in there, and I'm reminded of the impact I had on people. Write down everything. Go find the physical evidence. Make a note of the goals you've already smashed in life, in business. There's that whole piece around, so often we're so busy trying to get to the next, but we forget about where we are now is where we once dreamed of being. I am going to go off piece a little bit here. I was fortunate enough to attend the Mind Valley Future Human event here in Dubai a few weeks ago, and Stephen Bartlett spoke. And he shared a really quick anecdotal story of when he was rushing onto a plane and all he was thinking about was Wi-Fi. All he was thinking about was opening his laptop, getting on the Wi-Fi and getting on with work because he needed to get to the next country to deliver the next thing because that's the life that he was now in. And he said he looked to his left and he saw this woman who was clearly flying in business class for the first time. And he said, I just had this moment where I stopped and I watched her excitement and the joy she had at what she was experiencing. And it made him remember the first time he ever got on a plane. And how excited he was to fly to Ibiza on an EasyJet plane because it was the first time he'd been on a plane. We normalise so quickly that we forget what we've achieved to be where we are now. And that's a really important exercise to do because when comparison creeps in, what you do is you pull out that list and you remind yourself of everything you've already achieved. So start tracking your wins, but create that proof of progress list, that evidence of all your past successes that have got you to where you are now, because that's what you come back to when you're feeling the comparison and looking at someone else and going, should I? Well, hang on a minute, look what I've already done. Now, if you are feeling very triggered, I would really strongly urge you to audit your social media feed. If there are accounts or people that consistently make you feel less than, that consistently trigger you from a comparison perspective rather than inspiration, unfollow them. Take some responsibility for yourself. You do not need that energy in your life, and you don't have to have it. Unfollow the ones that are triggering and replace them with accounts that inspire you and uplift you. Come follow the She is Courageous Collective, our new Instagram page. I do this all the time. Okay, I do this really quite regularly. I do it for email and my social media account. I unfollow a bunch of social media accounts when I notice that actually these aren't making me feel good. They're making me question me. And I do the same with emails. If someone's in launch and I'm getting hammered with emails that are actually making me not feel good and actually not feel, well done them, I just unfollow. I appreciate that's my stuff. But I'm not going to feed it. I'm going to work on it. And one of the things I need to do to work on it is remove it. And then the final thing is really remind yourself, focus on you. I said earlier on, your superpower is you. So focus on what is it that makes you uniquely you. Whether it's skills that you've got and the way that you do them, whether it's your experience or the way you connect with people, whatever it is, if you want to quieten the comparison voice, you have to own you. You have to absolutely own everything that you are, everything that you stand for, including your flaws, quite frankly, but I'm going to go with the superpowers right now. No one else brings to the table what you bring. We are all unique. There is no one else with your fingerprint. There is no one else with your brain wiring. I don't think that was very well said, but you get my point. There is only one you. Even twins are not the same, which is why the comparison to yourself is important. It's why that, if something's not feeding your soul with inspiration, then remove it from your world. You get to choose. So choose you and own it. Comparison is inevitable. But it doesn't have to be debilitating. It does not have to be the thief of your joy. It does not have to steal away your confidence. And it definitely doesn't have to steal your identity. I want you to be courageous enough to really embrace who you are. I want you to be courageous enough to unfollow what triggers you. I want you to be courageous enough to celebrate your wins. I want you to be courageous enough to stay in your lane and trust that you are where you are meant to be right now and you can get to where you want to go. If comparison is eating you up right now, and I really hope it isn't, but I really hope this has helped you really swiftly, really simply put it back into perspective and do something different. But like everything, having a listen might not be enough. You have to go and take action. Do one thing that will help quieten the comparison voice and turn up the volume on you. So whether that is unfollowing an account that makes you feel inadequate, or writing down 5 wins from last week, or last month, or last year, or starting that proof of progress list, whatever it is, take the step. Don't stay in the comparison trap. If this is really resonating with you, I'd love to know what it's got you thinking and what action you're taking. We all know this is a big one and it affects so many. So if this has helped you, give us a share on the socials too. Tag me, but most of all, let's get this episode into the ears of as many wonderful women as possible who need to be reminded that they are more than enough exactly as they are. Because as always, the most important thing to remember is this: she is courageous and she is you.